my sweet friends, welcome back. I'm so happy you can be here to spend some time with me today. If you're new around here, I hope you will consider hitting that subscribe button to join our crafty little family. For today's project, I do have a flip through share of this very fun and festive summer inspired mini album. I created this with stickers from the Dollar Tree, so make sure you stay tuned to the end because we're going to have a tutorial on how I created the base for this book. So like I mentioned, my stickers came from the Dollar Tree. This is a really sweet set, has lots of great elements to incorporate into my project, and they are also fairly dimensional, so that was another added bonus to this. I used almost all except just this one sticker, so I think that's a good value. I got a lot of use out of that sheet. And I'm also going to be using one of these 4x6 photo albums, just has the plastic sleeves inside, but we're going to dress this up. I'm going to make it much more substantial and sturdy and dressed up looking, so stick with me to the end to make sure that you see that tutorial. Okay, this mini album is super cute. Another thing that I love, besides going to the Dollar Tree to get some fun crafty supplies, is using up a lot of my stash. And so this worked out perfectly because I did have a summer themed stash collection from back when I designed for Bo Bunny. That was a couple years ago. I worked for them for a couple of years, and they sent me this collection to work with. I had most of it left over, and so I was trying to get through a lot of paper for this project, and I think it worked out pretty well. So for the cover, I just used my typical embellishing. I've got my focal element, which is that sweet little flamingo, and then I picked out some coordinating flowers. These are all Little Birdie Crafts, and instead of my usual foliage, I brought in some more tropical themed die cuts here for the background, and a little frame that I created with some blue glitter paper. I don't know how well that shows on camera, but it's very sparkly and it makes a nice large focal point out of this dimensional sticker. And then to finish it off, I'm just putting some coordinating sequins there so that I can have a little balance for this larger arrangement on the bottom. Okay, so let's get into the book. I have all of the sleeves here filled with paper. I didn't use all of the sleeves, and I'll tell you that later when we get into the tutorial, but I've removed half of the pages from this book so that I could add papers and all the layering bits to these and not make the book too bulky. You see, it does still close nicely, and so you want to do that to make sure that you have a good shape and good support for your book cover. Once you get inside the book, it's going to have pockets on either side, so this would be a good place to tuck in some pictures or flat ephemera that glue down to anything. If there's writing on the back or you have some little keepsakes that you want to tuck in, here's a good place to do that, and there's one on the other side as well. So you get two pockets here. And then I just had a really good time mixing and matching all of my pattern papers. I hope that shows on camera. It's hard to see from this angle. I don't want there to be so much glare from the plastic, but I did mix and match a lot of these patterns so that I could get full sheet that would be the base layer, an alternate pattern just to be a little bit more interesting. So I didn't do anything for the front cover here because I want my book to read as 2-page layouts. So I've got just this cover. You could easily add a picture or what have you for this. And so here's where I'm getting into coordinating my paper with these stickers, and this little pineapple sunglass is so funny, and so I knew I wanted to pick that yellow. And then I did have a lot of fun also just pulling out some of the dies that I have, the nesting dies, and cutting the companion papers and stacking them up and arranging them sort of similar but not too matchy throughout the book, so each page has a little bit of a unique look, but they all coordinate together. And so obviously what I've done is I've put my paper into the pockets, but I put my stickers on the outside just because them being dimensional could potentially get stuck or caught when you slide that in and out. So I didn't want that, and so I put that on the outside. All you have to do now is pull out your pages and add your pictures and embellish on them. I think you could even do some writing on this. There isn't too much contrast. You would be able to see writing pretty easily on this sheet. So each of these is going to read as a as a 2-page layout, so they work together. You could put your pictures and then your journaling and have your sticker as your embellishment. So I alternated a set of pages with a sticker with a set of pages that does not have a sticker, just to make it a little bit more flexible for finishing. And then also, if you want to tuck in full-size pictures, you would be able to do that without worrying that sticker on top could interfere with the picture. And then also it does help to reduce some of the bulk, not adding dimensional things on each page. So I did each set of stickers and then one set without. This was another great way to get in there and use up large chunks of that collection paper. This is really sweet. It has a really tropical sort of theme to it, so the colors are very bright and cheerful. And so for this one, because the sticker was a little bit smaller, I added 2 together, so it made it a little bit more of a focal point, and still kind of stacking these papers in alternate patterns so that they look unique on each page. And then for this one, I did add this star. This is all tucked into the page, so you could put your pictures and stuff on top of that and then tuck it underneath. So the next page has just fun fonts on that. It's a nice neutral background for whatever pictures you want to add. And like I said, you could put 4x6 photos in here without getting in the way of the embellishing. So this next set is really fortuitous. As I was working along, I found this ombre kind of pattern, and it kind of matched that ice cream. So I thought that was a really great combination for this. I incorporated this stripe a lot throughout. I think it just gives it a little bit more of a consistent look. And then another thing you want to think about doing while you're working along, if you're putting the dimensional embellishments in, sometimes you have to take one of the layers of the sticker off the back, which I did for most of these, just so that only the raised part comes off the page and the rest is right on. This gives me a better opportunity to add more adhesive so it sticks better, and then it does give me some dimension, but not so much that it becomes bulky. And so you'll notice as I'm flipping through that I have a dimensional item on one side only. I'm not putting them over here because this is the spine. I don't want this to get too bulky. And then I'm alternating top to bottom so that I'm not adding stickers on top of stickers. And then I'm not putting them on opposing pages because of the dimensional elements here. They could get caught on each other while you're flipping your pages. So put one cluster or one large sticker on each page and then alternate the top to bottom so that you can reduce the bulk. So here's another one. This is really sweet. I thought for some reason it reminded me of emojis, but it's not. It just has a really nice overall pattern. And then this one is another combination of 2 of the smaller stickers just to make a larger focal point, and I'm alternating the floral with the scrap from that ombre pattern. That was a good use of that because there was just a little strip left. So here's another page, has just some surfboards and all over kind of stripy effect. And then I took the offcut from this page and I turned it on its side and used it. So now I have a border on the top and the bottom, and this little flamingo floaty is super cute. I didn't want it to get lost on that busy pattern, so I just added another of those die cuts with a scallop circle that's stitched, and then topped it off with a more neutral pattern so that my little flamingo would be easier to see. So the next set of pages is a fairly busy floral. And then the last set, I'm just having a lot of fun with my die cuts. This is sort of a pennant shape. I picked that up from Gina Marie Designs, and this is a good nesting set because it has a lot of sizes, so I used it a couple of times throughout here. And then also a larger scallop circle with a stitched edge, and then more of that stripe. I just like working that stripe along. You can see it here on the pockets. And then as my layering elements as well. This pool floaty is super cute. I feel like I've seen this on some of the YouTubers' videos with the unicorn and the rainbow tail and mane. I'm pretty sure I've seen that on a video. Anyway, so this is the last page, and on my first and last pages, I coordinated my pattern paper with the base that would be in this pocket so that it all sort of works together. And then I also finished the back. I want to make sure it looks nice all the way around. I did also finish the spine with that stripe as well, and then put some twine through. So this is all for this mini album. It is much simpler to make than you can imagine, and it goes a lot faster. This is such a good way to work through collections. So I'm going to share that we're going to begin our Christmas in July series very soon, and this is going to be one of the projects, the base for this book. You're going to see that again during that series. So I wanted to make sure to have time to show you how to create the base in this video, and then in the Christmas in July video we're going to finish it. So you get a tutorial on both things here, and so this is all for the book, and stick with me and we will make the base together. Okay, so like I mentioned previously, I'm going to take out every other page in this book. It originally comes with 24 pages, and I want to take it down to 12. You really just need a very good craft knife for this. I replaced the blade, so this one is new. I have a piece of mat board so that I can cut into that and save my work surface and the other layers of the book. And I also have a ruler with a metal edge. This one is new as well. I got these from the dollar store as well, like $3-4. So if you need to switch them out if they get mangled up here, that is not a big deal. On these pages you can see, I think that they're just melted together so that they create that pocket. What you want to do is put your page in all the way up so that it goes into the spine as far as it will go, and then line up your ruler here just on the other side of that stamped seam. You don't want to go too far in because you don't want to cut beyond your page, beyond your mat board, or down into the next set of pages. So what I've got that is lined up, and because I'm right-handed, I'm working this way. I took out 12 starting with not the first sheet but every other one, so that I could have the pages distributed evenly throughout the book. And then when I got to the middle, I flipped it over. Because I'm right-handed, it's easier for me to cut along this way, but if you were left-handed, you would do it the other way. So I'm just going to line my straight edge up here along, and going pretty slowly with a reasonable amount of pressure, just go ahead and cut through that. Maybe you need to go twice, but you see how that just pulls right off, and then there's going to be a little bit of plastic string left over, and that's all you need to do. So I took out half of the pages of this book just to reduce the bulk of it. And then I do want to take these out and replace them with something a little bit more sturdy. So I'm just going to put 110-pound cardstock in there instead. This one is kind of unique as well, because instead of having the pages open in the middle so that you would fill them this way, only the cover does that. The rest of them open from the top. So that's pretty convenient because that's easier to get your pages in and out. Okay, so you've got your book prepared with half of the pages in it, and then I've got a couple of pieces here of 110-pound cardstock. So this reminded me of when you would wrap your textbooks in school. So we're just going to create pockets on either side for this to fit into. And so my first page here is 110-pound cardstock. I cut it at 7 by 11 inches. I scored it at 2 inches, and that will be the depth of our pocket. I scored it at 7 1/4 because our book measurements are going to be 7 by 5 1/4, and then 8 1/4 gives me 1 inch for that spine, and then the remaining piece is going to adhere to the next page. So it's not going to be wide enough, one single sheet. You're going to have to join them. And so once I have all these scored, I will go ahead and seal up these pockets. Now, because you're putting something very heavy and bulky inside you are going to have to use wet adhesive, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but in this case it is necessary. I'm going to use Tombow because it has a good bond and it dries quickly. And I'm going to bring in a couple of these clippy things too so that I can hold these together while the glue sets up. So I'm just going to use a very small amount on either side. I don't want it to splooge out too much. It probably will, just because it's right close to the edge. You want to make sure that you have enough room in these pockets to slide that photo album cover in, so you can't bring your glue in too far. It has to go right up to the edge. And I think it's important to remember that you're gonna want to let this set up. So have another thing to do while you're waiting. I'm going to stop the video and wait for each portion to dry. So it will look like it's going a lot faster than it is, but you will have to wait for this glue to set up, and you can work on multiple portions at once. So this is going to hold that tight while that glue sets up. And I'm just gonna come back in when that is ready. Okay, so I've got both of my pockets sealed up, and it's time to join these together. What I'm gonna do is adhere my right hand pocket to the portion that was left over after the 1-inch spine. I'm just going to line that right up to the score line and make sure that it's even on the top to the bottom. So I have left this portion on the inside, you will notice, because when I get to finishing the book, I want this not to have a seam in the back. I want to hide it underneath the pattern paper. So I've got that here. If you happen to get any of the adhesive splooged out, now I didn't have any this time, which is pretty miraculous actually. You can use your mono eraser, the Tombow mono. I would just recommend using this in one direction only so that you don't smear your glue back and forth. And this one looked pretty clean. That last one I had to clean up quite a bit. So here is the outside of the base. So what you want to do is have yourself a template. If you're going to make more than one book, I cut myself a template here of 1 inch by 7 inch. I folded it in half, and then I measured in 1/4 of an inch on each end and punched a hole with my Crocodile. This is going to be a template I can use for further books because this measurement here is not going to change. If I make more of this, it's going to be constant, and that way I'll have this to use for all the other projects. So I'm going to line that up here and punch the hole. And then here's another part that you want to do while you're working along. So because this is for a future project, I'm going to go ahead and add the covers for the inside and out of the spine. Not only does this make it look more finished and nice, but it will give it a little bit of extra stability. So I cut my piece for the inside just shy of that 1 inch so that there will be room for the pages to move properly, and I'm going to add that. And then you want to add one side and then repunch your holes so that you know where they were, and then come back in and repunch those holes while you can find them. I've picked some silver eyelets because they go with my project, but you pick ones that coordinate with the paper collection that you are using, and just want to put those in and compress them. This will help immensely to keep the string from pulling through the book. So you can go ahead and add your photo album now. So because this is nice and sturdy, we'll be able to slide that in the pocket fairly easily, up to the point where the center of the book falls between where those eyelets are, because you're going to run your twine through that. So got one side in and line it up, and then add your other side. And slide that in. So now you want to add some twine, and this will hold the back of the photo album to the book base so that it will be nice and secure. So I'm just going to add some twine through my eyelets. And I'll just go around a couple times just to make sure it's nice and sturdy. And I've got it pulled through so that both of the twine strings are on one side, and go ahead and tie that off pretty good and tight so that you are making sure to hold the back of that photo album against the book cover. Okay, you can add charms to your tails or tie them in a bow. I'm just going to leave mine for now so that I can decide later when I'm finishing my other project. But okay, so now what you've got is this is nice and secure inside that spine. You want to cover up this portion here. Make sure it's in straight so that it looks nice. And then this piece is 7 by 3 1/8. I have 2 of them. And you're going to have to get your glue back out and attach them along the sides again, just as we did with the pocket. Because they're in 2 pieces, this is going to leave you that pocket in the bottom. So go ahead and add your Tombow and clip them up. Don't forget this side as well. This is totally enclosing that plastic cover, so you won't see any of that. It'll just be nice, sturdy cardstock that you can add all of your pattern paper layers to. So get that in place and put your clips back on. Okay, this is sat for several minutes and that glue is set up, so I can take off my clips. And remember, if I have any glue, I can just go ahead and remove that now before I finish it with my collection paper. So this is going to be a beautiful sturdy base with all of the pockets that I can fill up with my project. So remember, this is going to be coming out again on the Christmas in July projects. That's going to be starting July 12th if you want to mark your calendar so you can watch those videos as they come out. And so I'll just show you the finished project one more time. And you can see that adding all of those beautiful collection papers and enclosing the plasticky cover of the photo album really dresses this album up and makes it much more sturdy and substantial. And so that is all for our project today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure that you leave me a comment and a big old thumbs up. If you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe. Remember, you can check our description below for links to all our social media sites. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.